I know he wanted to coach when he got retired, or he was kind of not able to coach because of some back soreness and stuff, and his record wasn't any good. It was kind of an agreement, but I knew he still wanted to coach. And then he got healthier, started playing golf, and he's healthy now. And I'm just really excited for him because he's a hell of a guy.
Yeah, describe him if you can as a leader of that LSU program, like you mentioned. I know the last couple of years, maybe not the results. Of course, every year you're supposed to win the national championship every single year in Baton Rouge. You cannot fall short. But and I know he didn't probably get the results he wanted the last couple of years for multiple reasons. But describe him as a person and what those that coached for him, that played for him, that worked with him, that knew him or know him in Baton Rouge. Who is Paul Mainieri?
Well, even his last season, he did make it to the Super Regional. So that was a bad season. They finished 13-17 in the SEC regular season, but he still got to the Super Regional and lost to a really good Tennessee team. But he's a media coach. You guys will like him. He's very honest and candid, and he'll talk to everybody. But and he comes across as a real soft-spoken, nice guy. But I've seen him coaching when he didn't realize I was there in Omaha. Actually, the first time he went to Omaha, and he gets after his players, man. Even if it's Alex Bregman or anybody, he's a taskmaster, and he's old school. He is 66, but he's just a great guy, and he was really consistent at LSU. 4 SEC titles, 6 SEC tournament titles, 5 trips to Omaha, won a national title, played for a national title in 2017, and really he was right there with O'Sullivan and the Vanderbilt coach. Yeah. He was at the top of the SEC, consistent. Tim Corbin consistently while he was at LSU, and a very good recruiter. Though he's never worked with NIL or the portal, so that's going to be new with him.
Yeah, matter of fact, JC I think he had mentioned to me this morning. He might have a question on that too. I think one of the things that makes this very, very intriguing is, as you well know, LSU is a pressure cooker. It is the pressure cooker in college baseball. South Carolina is a pressure cooker. Arkansas is a pressure cooker. And if you take one of these jobs, you've got to be able to handle that. And it's not just all about coaching baseball. It's about handling all the outside noise as well. What have you learned about him? Obviously, he was able to do it as consistent as he was from a record standpoint. But does he have a theory on that or a philosophy? What's his makeup that allows him to do it?
Well, he went to Omaha in his second year at LSU in 2008, and they were really bad in 2006 before he got the job. And then they were pretty bad in his first season in 2007. In fact, I think his first SEC series was at South Carolina in 2007, and he got swept. But then he's in Omaha in 2008. Then he wins it all in 2009. So he got off to a pretty fast start, and then built up those expectations, and he struggled with that a little while before he started going back. 13, 15, 17, went to Omaha, lost some super regionals at home he probably shouldn't have, but he handled it pretty well. I used to tell him, you need to get off of the social media, because he would get in the chat rooms and read what the fans were saying about his team.
Oh no.
But hopefully he'll grow out of that. But South Carolina is hungry. They haven't been good in a while. They haven't been to Omaha since Tanner was coaching, right? Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. Since 2012.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So they're not quite so used to it, but I'm sure they are hoping a lot and expecting a lot. I don't think it's the same pressure cooker as LSU is now, but after he starts winning, maybe it will be.
Glenn, you still connected down to Baton Rouge. What is LSU's NIL commitment institutionally right now across all the sports, specifically baseball?
It's not great. It's not great. It's not as good as Ole Miss's. They've had some trouble organizing their NIL collective situation. They tend to just have, 1 or 2 rich guys, and and you need a whole team of them, I think. So they have not been great there, and you can see it. They lose some guys in the portal, and LSU they were used to recruiting to their stadium or to tailgating or to their facilities, and players now they could care less about facilities. Remember when that was big, guys? Oh, their weight room. Oh, wow, their stadium. The players could care less. They just want the cash, right? And LSU has a ways to go to be an elite NIL team, and I don't know if that's going to happen.
Glenn, it's Mike Morgan, not Willie Mays Hayes, as it shows on your screen. I've enjoyed listening to you on various radio shows during my many trips to Baton Rouge to call a game and reading your stuff. We need to get you on the football podcast at some point. But
sure.
My question for you is about recruiting. And LSU's title a couple of years ago, for those that don't know, that was a roster chock full of Paul Mainieri, Terry Rooney guys.
No question.
And so no knock on the current administration there. I'm sure they'll do great things, but make no mistake about it. Guys like Dylan Cruz, the connections to Air Force to get Skeens, like these are like generational talents that were there because of Paul Mainieri and Terry Rooney. So fast forward it now. We know LSU is a national recruiting program. Can they have the same type of success in Columbia from a recruiting standpoint, not to mention, of course, the addition of Monty Lee, who knows the state of South Carolina inside and out?
Well, Terry Rooney was not involved with the last class of Paul Mainieri. He left LSU after the 2008 season to be the Central Florida coach, and then Jay Johnson brought him back. But Paul Mainieri's main recruiter was Nolan Kane, who is a great recruiter who's at Texas A&M now. He recruited that team that won the national championship with Jay Johnson last year. He recruited Dylan Cruz. Jay Johnson he recruited Paul Skeens. Now, Mainieri probably would have got Paul Skeens if he was still at LSU, and he helped Jay there because Paul Skeens' coach at Air Force was coached by Mainieri when he was at Air Force. So yeah, but man, he left them a lot of those players that won that national championship, and Mainieri was there with Skip Berman and Jay Johnson. They were all in Omaha last year, and Jay's been very gracious to Paul and thankful. And after Paul retired after the 21 season, he helped the administration at LSU, the AD Scott Woodward, hired Jay Johnson. They looked at a lot of other coaches, and Mainieri recommended Jay. So he's been very close to the program, and he's a delegator. He'll that's why he hired Rooney. Who's a good recruiter, and I'm sure he'll hire some other guys to help him with the NIL and portal. But he's he's organized. He's like a CEO with that stuff, and he likes to coach the game and develop the players. And he's an interesting coach because he's always been a head coach. He was never an assistant. Yep. So he's not like a batting coach or a pitching coach like Skip was. Jay Johnson is a hitting coach. Mainieri's like all seasons, all talents.
Glenn, first of all, you mentioned Skip, and we will come back to this before we let you go. Glenn authored a book that I have not bought, but I am going to buy probably as soon as we get off the show, called "Everything Matters in Baseball: The Skip Berman Story." And there's a forward in it.
Let me show you. It's right here. Let's see.
That's a man cave right there. Look at that.
And you see
there
that?
it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Everything matters in baseball. Let's Skip Berman story. I think you might have saw my dog a little bit there too.
That's all right. We love pets here. We're pet lovers.
But no, it's I'm excited about the book. We're having a lot of book signings right now, and the book has been out for 2 years. But you guys can get it at Amazon.com or AcadianHouse.com. www.acadianhouse.com. ACADIAN. That's the publishing company in Lafayette. And it's at Barnes and Noble's down here. Not quite nationally yet, but it's been well received. I'm really excited.
I can only imagine what it was like to write write about Skip Berman, one of the absolute best to ever touch the field in college baseball. One of Coach Tanner's boys, of course.
No question.
So it's when you look at somebody's tenure, and of course, as you pointed out a moment ago, Coach Mainieri, his first year, 2007 at LSU. I think Mike said this a little bit earlier in programming. That was his worst league record, and then of course it all got better from there. I think they missed one more postseason a few years later, but outside of that, they were just rolling right along. And it's easy to look at a tenure of any coach anywhere and see the year that they win the national championship or have the best record and say, well, maybe that's their best coaching job. But all the coaches I've ever talked to never point to their best season and say that was my best coaching job. Do you have a year in mind for Coach Mainieri and his time at LSU where you felt like that was his?
The 2017 season, I would say, because they were around 500 or below 500 during the regular season, and they were in danger of not getting in the tournament. Not quite as bad as Florida this year, but they got better late, and then they started winning, and then he got to Omaha, and they beat number 1 seed Oregon State twice after losing to them, and after losing his starting pitcher in the first inning, injured his arm. They lost that game. They got like 11-1, came back, got into the championship series against Florida, and had Alex Lang, who's in the majors now, waiting in that third game, but they lost the first 2 games, close games, and particularly the second game. And even O'Sullivan kind of went for broke because he knew Lang was waiting in that third game, so he went for broke in the second game, and they won it. Bad breaks for LSU, but so he almost won a second national championship, and I think he really did a great job bringing that team back. And the thing with Mainieri, he was consistent. He was always in the hunt late. And he knows how to get players, man. I mean, he's got a lot of players in the majors still. DJ LeMahieu, Aaron Nola, Kevin Gausman. He's got a lot of guys in there.
What do those guys say about him?
Well, Alex Bregman. I mean, that Paul Mainieri is Alex Bregman's boy. There's no question. When he was upset when Mainieri retired, I remember, and had a lot of great things to say about him. And he's stayed close with Mainieri. And Bregman's best story about Paul was Bregman lost his temper in practice or something, and Mainieri just lit into him. And Alex came here as a superstar, and he wasn't really used to coaches jumping his case. So that really had something to do with Alex's development. He really respected Paul. Most of the star players really believed in him, like Aaron Nola. He was kind of a player's coach while being a taskmaster.
Go ahead, JC. I think I interrupted.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Skip Berman pretty well. Ray Tanner knows him too, and always kind of admired him, especially the move from head coach to AD.
Yes.
Tanner calls Skip Berman and says, "What do you think about Paul Mainieri taking this job?" What do you think Skip Berman tells him?
Well, I would be willing to bet that Tanner did call Skip on Paul Mainieri. Skip called Ray Tanner to replace him when Skip was. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I think Ray was one of the guys Skip spoke to after the 01 season. Because then Skip hired. Really, he was involved with his successor, and then also Mainieri. He hired Mainieri as athletic director. But Ray and Paul are good friends too. So, but I would bet Skip gave a very good recommendation of Paul. Now Skip, though, when Skip's talking about other coaches, no one's better than he is. There's no question about that. So he'll give Mainieri credit or any other coach credit, but don't ever think they're as good as Skip was.